But you've got to remember something about the doctrine of the Trinity, that it's one thing to say it, and it's another thing to know what it means, and it's another thing to use it, to apply it. The doctrine of the Trinity turned out to be the third rail for Christian thinkers all through the Middle Ages. And I wrote another book about the Aristotelian revolution in the Middle Ages. It's called Aristotle's Children. And in that book, I talk about Peter Abelard. And Peter Abelard was tried for heresy, probably the most brilliant thinker of his time, probably, because he tried to explain the Trinity. Trying to explain the Trinity is almost always going to get you in trouble. The doctrine of the Trinity wasn't dealt with, among other things, because it was the Father and the Son that were being talked about at Nicaea. And really the only thing Nicaea had to say about them was homoousios. So there were all sorts of issues that, even looking at just father-son issues, that don't get talked about at Nicaea. Because we have to remember that all of these activities that we're talking about now take place in the 4th century, but in the 5th century, the conflict of anything gets worse. I mean, the Trinitarian issue is settled, but all sorts of questions are then produced. If Jesus is God, does he have a human nature or a divine nature, or somehow both? And that sort of issue rips the church apart in the 5th century. In fact, and even into the 6th century. It rips it apart, and there's so much violence around it, so much dispute around it, that some historians have said that it helps to explain the Muslim conquest of the Middle East in the 600s, in the 7th century, because people were so fed up with these sort of unending disputes about Jesus's nature compared with God, and Jesus's, how many personalities there were in Jesus himself.